Next disaccharide included in syllabus is lactose. So lactose is also called milk sugar. Lactose is a milk sugar. So you might have listened the word lact so many times. That is lact, like Cerelac and something. Also lactose, and it's a milk sugar. Further formula of molecular formula is again same as like of other disaccharide, that is C12H22O11. So lactose occurs in a milk, and that is why it is called milk sugar. It is obtained commercially as a byproduct of the cheese manufactured from milk. After the removal of casein from milk, the aqueous solution left behind called whey on evaporation gives lactose. So milk turns sour when lactose is converted into lactic acid by the bacterial action. Further lactose exists in two forms: alpha form and beta form. Alpha form and beta form. So alpha form, which melts at 496 Kelvin. So melting point of alpha form 496 Kelvin. Specific rotation is plus 90 degree. Further, and while beta form has melting point of 525 Kelvin and has a specific rotation of 35 degree. The two forms undergo muta-rotation in aqueous solution to form an equilibrium mixture having a specific rotation of plus 55. So equilibrium mixture of alpha and beta form have specific rotation of plus 55 degree. So plus sign means these all are dextrorotatory. On hydrolysis with dilute acids or enzyme lactase, it gives equimolar mixture of glucose plus galactose. So lactase is a hydrolyzing enzyme which hydrolyzes lactose and result in the formation of glucose plus galactose. Further, like maltose, lactose is also reducing sugar and hence reduces tolerance reagent and Fehling solution. So maltose is also a reducing sugar, and how its reducing nature is confirmed. It is confirmed by when it is treated with the Tollern reagent and Fehling solution. So on treatment with Tollern and Fehling solution, it reduces both. Further, it reacts with the hydroxylamine to form the oxime, that is hydroxylamine is a CnH2OH. So these reaction you have studied earlier in the part of glucose when I was teaching you glucose. So next are the structure of lactose. So its molecular formula is C12H22O11. Further, reducing nature shows that lactose is a reducing sugar. So it forms the oxime, like glucose form the glucoxime. It forms phenyl hydrazone. Further, it forms the osazone, oxime, phenyl hydrazone and osazone. All these observations suggest that lactose is a reducing sugar. So next is the nature of monosaccharide units. On hydrolysis with mineral acids or the enzyme lactase, it gives an equimolar mixture of D-glucose and D-galactose. Thus lactose is made up of one molecule of glucose and one molecule of galactose. So glucose plus galactose are the constituents of the lactose, which is a disaccharide. So both these glucose and galactose are monosaccharide and they combine to form the lactose. So oxidation with the bromine water converts lactose into lactobionic acid, which on hydrolysis with the gives D-galactose and D-gluconic acid. Further, I have told you the gluconic acid structure and galactose. Therefore, the D-glucose unit is the reducing half while D-galactose is the non-reducing half. So lactose consists of glucose and galactose part. When it is hydrolyzed and both the parts are separated, when they are treated with the Fehling solution and Tollern reagent, the glucose reduces whereas galactose does not reduces them. So this glucose is the reducing half. Further, size of the monosaccharide units can also be confirmed. So last is the its nature of glycosidic linkage. So the lactose is hydrolyzed by enzyme lactase, which is specific for the hydrolysis of beta glycosidic linkage. Therefore at carbon 1 at first carbon of galactose unit is connected to fourth carbon of the glucose unit, which is the hydroxyl group. So thus lactose is galactoside and not glucoside. Further its structure can be written as, this is glucose, this is, you can write this oxygen here or in the middle of this line or somewhere throughout this line. Further it is glucose and it is connected to the galactose. So galactose also consists of the 6 carbons, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. This is galactose. This is galactose, and earlier we drew the structure of glucose. This is galactose, which is a non-reducing unit, and further this galactose is connected at fourth carbon of glucose. So this is glucose, this is galactose. You can also draw Haworth projection formula as I told you earlier, in which both cyclic rings are drawn. So this is lactose. Further next are the polysaccharides. So poly means many. So polysaccharide, like unlike disaccharide or monosaccharide, where monosaccharide consists of one, they can't be further hydrolyzed and they consist of one ring, whereas disaccharide consists of two monosaccharide units. Now we are studying the polysaccharides. So polysaccharide are the large size molecule which have very large number of many saccharide units present in this polysaccharide units, and they are linked through glycosidic linkage. Further, first is the starch. So starch, you have listened the name starch so many times. It is the most important abundant source of carbohydrate in the human diet. It is major food reserve material of plant and occurs as granule mainly in the seeds, fruits, tuber and roots of the plants. The shape and size of the granule, however, varies with the plant source. The most important source of the starch are wheat, rice, maize, potatoes, legume and other vegetables. Further properties: starch is insoluble in cold water, but if this water suspension is heated, the starch granules swell and ultimately burst to form the paste-like colloidal solution. Starch is a non-reducing saccharide. It neither reduces Tollern reagent nor Fehling solution nor form an osazone. This suggests that hemiacetal hydroxyl group of glucose unit at C1 are not free but are involved in the glycosidic linkage. So it means that at first carbon the hydroxyl groups are not free. Starch is not a single compound but is made of two component water soluble component called amylose. Starch consists of amylose and amylopectin. Amylose is a, what is amylose? Amylose is a water soluble component and water insoluble component is amylopectin. So amylose gives a deep blue color with iodine solution which appears on heating but reappears on cooling. This constitutes a delicate test for starch. Amylopectin on the other hand gives a red to purple color with iodine solution. So structure of amylose, first of all there is structure of amylose. So molecular formula of amylose is C6H10O5. This unit is linked number of times where n varies from 200 to 300. And nature of monosaccharide units: on hydrolysis with boiling mineral acid it gives dextrins, then glucose. So when amylose is heated, C6H10O5 n times, when it is hydrolyzed in the presence of acid, it results in the formation of dextrin, C6H10O5 n. This is dextrin. Here number of n is lesser than number of n present in the amylose. Further, when it is further heated in the presence of acid and water, it results in the formation of maltose, n by 2 C12H22O11, and further it is hydrolyzed in the presence of water, it results in the formation of NC6H12O6. So it is the glucose. So ultimate hydrolysis of amylose result in the formation of glucose. So amylose is made up of D glucose unit, D plus glucose. D means on the hydroxyl group on the penultimate carbon is on the right hand side, and plus sign means it is dextrorotatory. So next is the nature of linkage, that what kind of linkage is present in the amylose. Amylose upon partial hydrolysis with enzyme diastase gives a single disaccharide, that is maltose. So when amylose, that is C6H10O5 is hydrolyzed, it gives maltose, C12H22O11. But we have already discussed that in maltose the two glucose units are joined together by an alpha glucosidic linkage in which C1 of one glucose unit is joined to C4 of the other. Therefore it is logical to assume that amylose is made up of large number of D plus glucose units joined together by alpha glycosidic linkage involving C1 of the one unit with C4 of the other. Thus the structure of amylose may be written as, so here we will write the Haworth structure of amylose. This is first carbon, this is second carbon, this is third carbon. Hydroxyl groups are on opposite sides of, you can see in the Fischer projection formula. Further this is hydrogen, this is fifth carbon and sixth carbon. This is fifth carbon, this is sixth carbon. So further here again HOH hydroxyl hydrogen, CH2OH hydrogen, and this is C1, this is C1 C4 linkage, this is first carbon and this is fourth carbon of next ring. So this is C1 C4 alpha linkage. Further, this is again C1, this is C4, this is C1. So this is again C1, C4 alpha linkage. So this is the structure of amylose. Further, the above structure of amylose is supported by the fact that complete methylation of amylose produces the maximum of the trial substitution product, which shows that presence of 3 free hydroxyl group per glucose. So these are the 3 hydroxyl group, 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3. This is 1, 2 and 3. 3 hydroxyl groups are present. These are free to react. So when this is made to react with a suitable reagent, suitable reagent which is able to replace the hydroxyl group, that reagent in actual practice replaces all these 3 free hydroxyl groups, which suggests that there are 3 hydroxyl group and they are free in nature. So it may be pointed out that amylose chain has a terminal reducing glucose unit. Since this unit is at the end of the long chain, its properties are masked. Thus, amylose does not exhibit strong reducing properties of sugar. Next part of this starch is we studied amylose. Next is the amylopectin. As I told you that starch is consist of 2 parts, amylose and amylopectin. Okay. So next is the amylopectin. Molecular structure of amylopectin is C6H10O5. So it is C6H10O5. So this is the molecular formula of amylopectin, and number of times, where N varies from 1000 to 3000 glucose unit. Further, nature of the monosaccharide unit, like amylose, amylopectin on hydrolysis with boiling mineral acid ultimately yields glucose. So when you will C6H10O5 and number of times, when you will hydrolyze it with the boiling mineral acid, it will result in the formation of glucose, C6H10O5. Like amylose, amylopectin is made up of D-glucose unit. Nature of linkage. Further, third point is the nature of linkage. Like amylose, amylopectin on partial hydrolysis with beta amylase gives a single disaccharide, that is maltose. Thus, amylopectin, like amylose, is also made up of D-glucose units which are joined together by alpha glycosidic linkage involving C1 of one unit with C4 of the other glucose unit. So, however, unlike amylose, the above enzymatic hydrolysis occurs only about 50%, up to 50%. So this means that amylopectin beside alpha 1,4 linkage contains some other type of linkage as well as which are not hydrolyzed by beta amylase. Thus the structure of amylopectin is much more complicated than that of amylose. Further, now I will draw the structure of starch, amylopectin. So this is amylopectin. So this is the structure of amylopectin. It is bit seems to be bit complicated, but it's not so that complicated. You have to just first of all you have to draw the structure of these rings as I drew, and then you have to first of all you have to draw the rings, and then you have to write the linkages, that is C1 C4 linkage, and at any point there is C1 C6 linkage. So this is sixth carbon, first carbon. Have each ring, let me draw here again. In each ring next to this oxygen heteroatom, this is the first carbon, here first carbon, here second carbon, this is third carbon, fourth carbon, fifth carbon. Now where is sixth carbon? As you know that all the monosaccharide like glucose contain 6 carbon. So sixth carbon is this carbon, that is in this form CH2OH. So next, when you have draw these rings, you have to identify, when you have identified these carbons, their first carbon, second carbon, after that you have to draw these polyhydroxyl groups as per their position. So this is, if you know the structure of glucose, this is a basic structure, you can easily draw these rings. Then you have to show the linkages, as amylopectin contains C1 C4 and C1 C6 linkage. So this is C1 C4 linkage. This is also, this is first carbon, this is fourth carbon from this side. This is also, this is again first carbon, this is fourth carbon, is C1 first carbon, C1 C4 linkage, and this first carbon, and this is the sixth carbon. So this is the C1 C6 linkage exists here, whereas all else are C1 C4 linkages. So this is the structure of amylopectin. This is the starch. Next is the cellulose. So cellulose also is very much similar to the other polysaccharides. You can draw its structure. It is also consist of glucose. Now what a very important question comes, why cellulose is not digestible? You may be asked in the exam, why cellulose is not digestible? You have seen the other animals can digest can't digest cellulose, as cellulose remain indigestible, whereas we eat the starch like in the potato or in corn, so starch is easily digestible. The human digestive system does not contain enzyme which can hydrolyze cellulose into D-glucose and hence are unable to digest cellulose. These enzymes are however present in the digestive system of grazing animals, where these are produced by intestinal bacteria such as cow, deer. That is why grazing animal can use cellulose of grasses and plants as food by converting them into D-glucose. So basically what is the difference? Difference doesn't lies between the cellulose or amylose. We can digest amylose, but we can't digest we can digest the starch, but we can't digest cellulose. Why? Because we don't possess the digestive enzyme for the cellulose, whereas ruminants like other animals like cow, deer, they are able to digest cellulose because they possesses the digestive bacteria for the cellulose, which is secreted by their intestine. So they can eat grass or leaves of trees, so and can digest them easily. So this is the carbohydrate, and this is a quite this chapter needs your quite attention because it has some structures. If you understand the structure, then you will be able to proceed the other facts of this chapter, like its reaction and else. So there is if you feel any problem, then do contact me to study the chapter. Now next time we will start studying the inorganic chemistry part of your syllabus, that is periodic properties and other elements.